I thank you all very much for coming. I'm sorry that you're here for the reason that you are, but delighted to have you. I have some of our members that are here to join me for this press conference. I will have a draft statement, and then I will be available to answer questions. But first, before I do that, let me start with my left. I have Barry Weisler, producer, Chicago, which I know you all know. Paul Libben, Jujamson Theaters. Phil Smith, the chair of our labor committee. Herschel Waxman from Nederlander. Richard Frankel, who just had a nice little show open this week called Young Boys. Kevin McCullum. Avenue Q, Drowsy Chaperone, Rent, amongst others. So again, we appreciate your being here. We are saddened by the decision of Local 1 Stagehands Union to hold this unnecessary strike. It is fitting, however, that the first show they walked out on was How the Grinch Stole Christmas, because today the union showed that it is willing to take away the magic of Broadway from children and adults, New Yorkers and visitors who have been looking forward to a wonderful holiday time experience at the theater. Fighting to preserve the feather-bedding concepts that stagehands should be paid for not working is more important to them than preserving the holiday season for millions of theatergoers. The union has chosen to strike without notifying us rather than to continue negotiations. But our members are united in their commitment to achieving a fair contract. After all, with only 1 in 5 shows returning on their investment, they must remain unified to getting a new contract. The stagehands are and will remain the highest paid stagehands in the theatrical world.
Can you talk schedule?
I'll continue.
Sorry.
We deplore the strike and the harm that it does to the city, the industry, and the theater-going public. Indeed, all the actors, musicians, and other talented people who make Broadway magical. Broadway is the top tourist attraction in New York, and a strike will have an economic impact of $17 million a day. That's more than $100 million a week in direct and indirect costs to the city. Hotel workers, restaurateurs, retailers will all be impacted with this strike. This all could have been avoided had the union's leadership chosen to act responsibly at the bargaining table. We are so sorry about the inconvenience caused to the theater-going public. The core of this dispute is not about wages. Local 1 stagehands will continue to be the best paid in the world. And it's not about benefits. It's about fairness. We think it is fair to be able to hire the workers we need and to pay them for the work that they do. The place to resolve these issues is at the bargaining table, not the picket line. We made significant concessions. They took to the streets, hurting all members of the theater community. I'm happy to answer any questions. We do have a handout for you. Did you all?
So this feather bedding you're talking to in layperson's terms so the TV audience can really understand, what's the main problem that you're having with their demand about that?
The Local 1 is the only union left that is there is a requirement that there is a flyman available. There has to be one on all shows, and yet not all shows need a flyman, and that means to that show at least $160,000 a year, plus the benefits and the added cost to that.
So feather bedding is like a requirement that there be a certain number, but they're not all used, or what exactly? How do you say it
Sure,
in a simple? I need you to come to the center.
There are several ways that the feather bedding manifests itself. It starts with the load-in of the show, the putting of the show into the theater. We cannot hire the number of men we need. We have to hire the number of men they tell us to hire. Imagine if you were building a house and the contractor said to you, I only need 30 guys, but the union makes me hire 50. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to hire men that are not required to do the work. The second thing is that men get paid exorbitant amounts of money for doing small pieces of work. The guy who mops the stage every day in the theater, which takes about 10 minutes on most shows, gets paid an extra $500 a week for doing that, even though he's doing it while he's on the clock and getting paid his regular wages. By means of comparison, when we were just at the picket line before, one of the cops that I was chatting with reminded me that a rookie cop makes $24,000 a year. 2 rookie cops get paid what this guy's extra payment for mopping the stage is. After the show is loaded in, it may take 30, 40, 50 men 2 weeks to load the show in. After it is, the lights have to be focused. All the other work is done. It only takes 12 guys to focus the lights. We have to pay all the other guys to sit there and watch the people who focus the lights.
In the dark.
And we pay them between $40 and $70 an hour. To the front of the theater for a rehearsal. It takes about 10 minutes. We have to pay 2 guys 2 hours at $40 to $70 an hour to roll the piano down, and when the piano has to go to the back of the house, we have to pay 2 guys 2 hours to roll it back.
They're also on the clock at that time.
And they're on the clock at that time as well. So the manifestations are broad, and they're throughout the contract in many, many places. And the problem with this dispute is that we can't sign another contract that contains these provisions without some relief from them.
What is your name, sir?